right now.
Tonight, we're looking back at the life and career of longtime Duluth Judge Sally Tarnowski. From a 2014 sit-down interview as the only woman on the bench in her district to her early days right out of law school. This as new details are released involving her death. That and the rest of the day's news starts now.
This is Fox 21 Local News at 9.
Well, I'm kind of the queen bee.
She's Judge Sally Tarnowski, the only female in her district of 16 judges.
That was St. Louis County Judge Sally Tarnowski in a 2014 interview with our station, belting out that well-known laugh her coworkers grew to love and will now cherish in their memories. And meanwhile, here tonight, a memorial sits outside the St. Louis County Courthouse in Duluth. Candles spelling out the name Sally, bouquets of flowers in the background there, and a few high-heeled shoes, something her colleagues will always remember her by. You'll hear more about those signature heels in her own words from that special sit-down interview in just a moment. Good evening to you on this Tuesday. I'm Dan Hanger. Alexandra has the night off. Tonight, we are learning Judge Sally Tarnowski died Monday after a vehicle struck her during a jog in Venice, Florida, while enjoying vacation there. The Star Tribune confirming those details with the family tonight. News of the judge's unexpected death came late last night, and now the legal community in Duluth is reflecting on her impact within Minnesota's 6th Judicial District. Duluth lawyer Joe Roby worked with Tarnowski when she first started out at law school. That start was in the late 80s at law firm Johnson, Keelan, and Seiler. She began as a law clerk and eventually moved up as an associate attorney and was made a partner of that firm. Roby describing Tarnowski as even-keeled, funny, smart, and a good listener.
It's a sad day for the citizens of this judicial district. It's a sad day for the court system. It's a sad day for people that knew her. It's just shocking, and she's going to be missed both professionally and personally.
When Tarnowski applied for judgeship, she asked Roby to put in a recommendation. He also gave a speech at her investiture when she was donned with the robe for the first time. Chief Judge Leslie Byers releasing the following statement here, saying Judge Tarnowski approached her work with tenacity and dedication. Her loss will be deeply felt by all of us in the 6th District and by everyone who had the pleasure of knowing her. Judge Tarnowski was a trailblazer when she opened her office and closet of signature high heels to Fox 21 in 2014, where she was the only woman judge representing her district. But today, it's 50-50, 8 men, 8 women. Here's that rare one-on-one interview from former anchor Deanne Alexander, who profiled Northland women holding traditionally male-dominated jobs.
Okay.
When you hear the click of heels down the hall of judges' quarters, it can only mean one person.
Well, I'm kind of the queen bee.
She's Judge Sally Tarnowski, the only female in her district of 16 judges.
I bring to the bench a different perspective than the 7 other folks in this building, but they bring a different perspective to it too.
And when she's hearing cases like she has for the past 7 years,
okay, that's good.
Her male colleagues say it's no different.
She can be just so strong and firm and just talk right to that person so effectively. And it's like they go, whoa. You know, I think the people that are surprised are the criminal defendants.
And she's had her run-ins with some who crossed the line.
He was in custody and he was sitting at counsel table with his attorney and he said, well, hey, sweetheart. and your eyes just got big and I said, before you go on, you will never call me sweetheart again.
Despite her authority and power, she says her feminine side has crept into the courtroom, especially during difficult cases.
Yeah, there have been times where I've had to look down because I've had tears. No question about it. So it can be pretty moving.
She has a lot of authority, a lot of power. She treats people with respect all the time. And she's got a good sense of humor.
Which is why they're wearing skirts, is what I'm thinking. They don't have to wash the pants.
Check her out letting her hair down as MC at this year's Lollapalooza, a fundraiser for the Volunteer Attorney Program. And back in her office, she's planted little specks of femininity. She's even let us in on a little secret. She keeps a stash of her favorite heels in her office closet. And under her judge's robe, she plays up her favorite fashions.
I was thinking about what we used to wear, and you know, we'd have these little funny silk tie that were, you know, kind of looking like man.
And forget the glass ceiling. In the law industry, Tarnowski says it doesn't exist.
I felt that I got this job because I was a good attorney, not because I was a woman or a man got the job because he was a man. And that's how I hope it will be for future generations.
And today, with women representing half of all law school graduates, the courtroom is bound to see more of them.
Really, the sky's the limit. Do whatever you want to do. Have fun with it.
Former St. Louis County Attorney Mark Rubin, who you just saw in that piece, reflected today on Tarnowski's passing. Rubin says he was always impressed with Tarnowski's ability to hold high expectations of lawyers during cases. He says she had compassion, strength, courage, and a really big laugh, as you heard there. Tarnowski's started the first mental health court in Duluth, and Rubin was the first prosecutor to have a case within it.
I was fortunate to try cases in front of her back when she became a judge. And I was so pleased when she was appointed to the bench because she had already earned a great reputation for being strong, excellent legal ability, and compassion.
And Rubin went on to say that other judges really looked up to her as a mentor. And while Rubin's job was to prosecute cases, the judge's job was there to really hear them, affecting a lot of lives through her final decisions. Some, of course, would not like those decisions, while others say really changed their lives for the better. Fox 21's Pat Brink talked with one of those past defendants today. Here's his story.
Patrick Herman had seen a lot of different judges all over the state. He'd been convicted a number of times for drunk driving, and judges had locked him up for his offenses. That changed in Duluth when he appeared before Judge Tarnowski.
And I went in and out of, the VA, jail, multiple DWIs all over the state. And so I ended up this last DWI with Judge Tarnowski. It was my second felony DWI, and I should have went to prison. Most judges would have sent me to prison.
But that did not happen. Instead, Judge Tarnowski gave him probation and arranged for him to receive help for his drinking and PTSD.
I deserved going to jail, and I deserved more than what I got, but she saw enough, hope that it was the right decision, and I got lucky, I guess.
His girlfriend at the time, and now his wife, Margaret Ricci, says she wasn't sure if their relationship could have lasted if he'd gone on to prison. Instead, they've now been married for 2 years and bought a home together, and she thanks Judge Tarnowski for making this possible.
None of it could have happened if it weren't for the mercy and the wisdom and the kindness of Judge Tarnowski. I do remember that she looked at him and all the noise of everything that had brought to this point was not there because she could see the man underneath it all. And she believed enough to give that man another chance and give the hope that comes from the Lord.
Through his PTSD treatment at the VA and becoming sober, today their lives together are good. There are still times Patrick needs to remember how lucky he is that Margaret is there to help him, and Judge Tarnowski made it possible.
If Judge Tarnowski wouldn't have let me out, I don't know if my wife would have been able to make it, or, and so I was able to get married, and I became a homeowner at the end of last year, and after, just a really tumultuous 30 years of life,
Both Patrick and Margaret are musicians, and that's one way the two help each other when they need to let the stress out. The person who played a role in making their lives possible may be gone, but Margaret and Patrick will always remember and be thankful.
I just don't know what to say about her, except I remember the last time I saw her walking through the skywalk when I was going to probation, and I told her, I said, "Nice to see you, Judge Tarnowski," and she said, "Nice to see you." And it's a good memory for me.
In Duluth, I'm Pat Brink, Fox 21 Local News.
And Judge Tarnowski's death came on the same day when St. Louis County prosecutor there, longtime and now retired, Barb Russ, also died. Russ died from natural causes at the age of 74. She served with the county attorney's office for more than 30 years before serving as a Duluth City councilor for nearly 6 years. She resigned in 2020 because of health reasons, and at that time, Russ said that she really was proud of her work fighting for the homeless and underprivileged members of the community. And here tonight, earlier here today, I should say, because of the two deaths, the St. Louis County Board held a moment of silence as a tribute to the women's dedication and service to the community. As you take a look right there, we'll be right back.
Well, not a bad day when it came out to some sunshine in the Northland. In fact, this is the time of year where hopefully we are getting more sunshine. And yes, over the past 2 weeks, plenty more of it has been showing itself across the region, and that has helped with temperatures. High temperatures today outside of International Falls, once again above freezing. 41s basically Hinckley all the way to Ironwood. Mid-30s very popular. As you can see, our current temperatures getting a little cool out there. 27 Ely, 24 International Falls, 31 Grand Rapids, but still got a 34 in Hinckley, 33 out in Siren. Our eyes are focused on what is going to be a bit of an active pattern for our weather systems here. Low pressure systems starting to bring some of that snow into close to the Northland here. Maybe a few flurries in Itasca County, but it is going to take its time to get into the Northland specifically. And not everyone is going to be seeing the snow. It is going to be a lot more common the farther west you live compared to east or south, like some of our past storm systems. So everyone will be enjoying a bit of a comfier night tonight, definitely above average for your lows. Tomorrow, not everyone sees the snow, but if you do see it, it's not going to be a whole lot. But it's the first of several rounds of snow we'll see through the weekend. More details on that coming up later on in the forecast, later on in the newscast, Dan.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. We'll talk to you in just a little bit here. As we move on to the news at this hour at 9:13, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz signing a bill into law today that allows undocumented people in the state to get a driver's license. It's been 20 years in the making. Here's more.
It's done.
A packed room at the St. Paul Armory erupted after the governor's signature made driver's license for all the law of the land.
This bill being signed into law was the main topic of discussion over the lunch hour here at Plaza del Sol, which is made up of Latin immigrant-owned businesses.
It feels like a freedom.
Ciro Herrera is a dual citizen of Mexico and America. He spent the last 20 years working to get this bill passed.
And I was pretty happy, and it was a closure for me to know that a lot of people can now have this document.
More than 80,000 immigrants who live in Minnesota can benefit from this law, which Herrera says will allow immigrant employees to get to work without getting in trouble.
Then not either going to jail, losing their car, paying heavy fines.
Jamin Benitez got his state ID 25 years ago when he moved to Minnesota from Mexico, which was the last time this law was in place. He's happy that his loved ones can get one too now.
I know so many people, I have friends and actually family members, brothers, that they don't have the opportunity before to get a license. So now this is a huge win for our community.
He now hopes less people will live in fear and instead enjoy life's pleasures, like tamales for lunch.
I think now people are going to feel free to come outside, go to this business or any other business.
In St. Paul, Marielle Mose, WCCO 4 News.
And critics say they're worried the law will lead to illegal voting and illegal enrollment in state programs. People cannot get IDs under the law until October. Minnesota is seeing a dramatic rise in car thefts, especially among Kia and Hyundai cars. State Attorney General Keith Ellison says those thefts are a threat to public safety since many stolen cars are used to commit other crimes. Ellison announced here today he is investigating the car makers for not installing anti-theft technology in Kia and Hyundai cars sold to people in Minnesota.
All of our ability to be safe in our communities, in our streets, in our garages, in our driveways, cannot be subject to how many steering wheel locks a company sends out and whether or not people effectively use them.
When you put a product out in the stream of commerce, and it's highly susceptible to theft, and you know it, to turn around and say, okay, we'll fix it, the consumer can cover the cost of it.
Reports show thefts of Kia and Hyundai vehicles last year shot up 836% in Minneapolis and 611% in St. Paul compared with 2021. Police say some of the stolen vehicles were involved in 5 murders, 13 shootings, several dozen robberies, and hundreds of crashes last year. 9 people who went out on the ice to go ice fishing are now safe at home after a terrifying ordeal. The ice they were fishing on, separated from land, began floating out in the middle of a frigid lake in our area here up in this region. Here's the story of their rescue.
It's that time of year again when the ice starts to retreat, and it's no different on Lake Pepin. That's still a popular place to fish. Except last night, things took a turn for the worse.
It actually started snowing and sleeting very hard.
Lake City Fire Captain Matt Herzig taking a rescue call.
I'm thinking somebody's in the water.
9 people, including 3 kids, were stranded on a sheet of ice. The current and high winds there pushing it away from land.
So on both edges, it was open water, so they just couldn't get off.
Herzig and his crew ready to jump in.
I would assume it would have been very cold.
Instead, the Goodhue County Sheriff's Office had to use airboats to get everyone to shore, cold and hungry, but alive.
I always know your surroundings. Luckily, they had a phone with them. Technology was a big factor to save their life, too. They're very lucky.
The DNR says the ice this year was poor all across the state due to heavy snow at the start of the season that slowed the rate of new ice, add in fluctuating warm temperatures and slush that further deteriorated the ice, leading to even fewer fishing shelters that have to be off the southern 2/3 of the state now by midnight, according to the DNR. A good reminder that as seasons change, safety is top of mind.
And we all come together and a time that everyone needs us to.
And fishing is still allowed along the lake, but anglers are no longer permitted to use ice shelters in that particular area. All right, Rusty Melberg's got a look at the forecast coming up next. I think we still have like a week or two with the ice houses on our
I think
lake,
so,
right?
yeah.
Like
it's typically around the first day of calendar spring when we have to be more concerned about it.
Yeah, all right. Well, anyway, the snow was melting today. Pier B, Cam, as we've got some, Fargo's our headquarters. They got some snow over there. I don't know if it's coming for us, but Rusty's going to let us know coming up.
Welcome back. Well, let's talk a little bit about the warmth that can happen on this date. Back in 2000, the earliest 70-degree reading in Duluth's history happened on this date. So yes, it can get that warm this early in the calendar year, and in fact, it was a warm day across the Northland. International Falls needed to wait a little bit longer to get their first 70-degree reading, but yes, it can happen. 37 the high at the airport in Duluth today, 16 the low, so yeah, about an average day, just seasonally warm. No precipitation, but already nearing 4 inches for 2023, so nice way to start off, at least on a surplus. 21 up in Grand Marais right now, 28 down in Two Harbors, 27 in Skybo. We've got 24s along Highway 71 there north of Margie and International Falls. Still 31 in Grand Rapids, 32 in Hill City. We've got 30s along the I-35 until you get to Hinckley at 32. 30 in Minot, 28 in Solon Springs along with Barnes, 27 out in Washburn, 27 in Glidden, and 26 out in Wakefield. And across the upper Midwest, you can see colder air starting to sneak into the Dakotas. We've got a little warm air advection, which tells you, hey, we've got a low pressure system starting to creep a little closer here. There's the snow starting to try to creep just to the west of Grand Rapids there, and again, all that is going to continue to make its way towards the region here overnight. Mainly the Minnesota side is going to be feeling this weak low pressure system as it makes its way through, not only tonight, but during the day tomorrow. Not much is going to be happening east of Highway 53 on the Wisconsin and UP side, but Arrowhead, Iron Range, I-35, even the Twin Ports will start to see that snow, and that will continue throughout your afternoon and evening. Again, snowfall amounts not a big deal, but still, anytime you get something on those roadways, just be prepared to be a little slick, less than an inch for areas along 53 eastward, over an inch to 3 inches just to the west of that. Temperatures will be into the 20s for your lows tonight, and then warming themselves back up to the lower half of the 30s, most likely, for your Wednesday. So as you go out and about, especially the farther west you live, be prepared to deal with some snow. Otherwise, more puddles. It's that time of year, folks. Bigger system is planning to make its way just to the south, but it will clip most of the Northland on your Thursday night and into your Friday. Again, a couple inches are expected. Should be dry Friday night into your Saturday, and then another Alberta clipper system comes in, and again, a couple more inches are likely. So again, nuisance snows, I like to call them, but let's
Alberta.
just...
Go ahead, sorry.
Well, anyhow, 20s for your highs as well. It's just the region that these storm systems are formed and the quickness that they move across when they come by.
I know, but I think Alberta, Canada gets too much credit.
Well, it's the location where those lows are generated. So if it was Saskatchewan, it'd be a Saskatchewan low, Winnipeg low.
Wow.
Yeah, it's all about location.
Okay, great. Thanks for letting me know about that. Now, if you have ever been interested in observing and reporting on the weather here in the Northland, the National Weather Service is recruiting volunteers to help measure rain, hail, and snow. Yeah. Want to read that part?
Sure. There is a network made up of thousands of individuals across the country who are trained to take weather measurements at their homes and report them. There is no educational background required to get started, and it takes only a few minutes on days when we do get precipitation.
It's a completely grassroots volunteer-run network of observations. Anyone of all ages and backgrounds can be involved, and basically the primary goal is to use low-cost equipment with a lot of training and education to make sure everyone's taking really good observations to get a really dense network of rain, hail, snow observations.
The Community Collaborative Rain, Hail, and Snow Network, known as COCARAS, is free to sign up for. Training is also free, but there is a standardized rain gauge that runs about $35. And for more information, there is the website at the bottom of the screen. Fox 21's Ken Slama will have more tomorrow on how it started and how the data collected helps our communities. And I know Minnesota does a good job. They have been, March is always their big recruitment time for this, and Minnesota has led the nation the past 3 years getting new people to join. So
that's good.
So is it going to be 4 in a row?
We got those, everybody's a weather watcher,
Oh, yeah.
So that's kind of fun. And it's important, too, because of all those rural areas, wouldn't you say?
Mm-hmm. Whatever data we can get, reliable data, it helps us with forecasting in the future. It helps us to understand what happened with recent rain, snow, storm events. So more data is good.
Love data.
Mm-hmm.
Do you love to scream? You like to be scared?
No.
Well, you don't?
No!
Oh, come on. Well, anyway, Scream VI, or Scream 6, opening Friday. We're going to take a look at the Horror Flicks franchise's history coming up.
The ESCO boys basketball team was just one game away from making the state tournament last season. Tonight they began their postseason quest in hopes of kicking down that door this time around. Eskimos hosting the Raiders of Greenway in the first round of the Section 7 AA tournament. First half, Esko with a big lead, but Greenway not backing down. Colin Robertshaw sneaks by his defender on the backdoor cut and lays it in for two. Greenway gets their 13th point of the game. After that, though, it was pretty much all Eskimos. Xander Gable gets the reverse lay-in to go, adding to Esko's lead. Then just before the buzzer, Braden Mail is going to get the steal and then sky up for the slam. 68-13 Esko at the break. Esko rolls on to the next round, 104-25. To the college ranks as the UMD women's basketball team is preparing to host their first ever NCAA regional at Romano Gym. Besides being the host, the Bulldogs have a game to play against Southern Nazarene, the winners of the Great American Conference. In recent years, UMD has struggled to get out of the first round, only advancing to the second round once in their last 5 appearances. Head coach Mandy Pearson says her team has made some strides in recent weeks, and that needs to continue moving forward.
What we saw in the tournament is I thought we took a huge jump from our last weekend even to the NSIC tournament. And so if we can figure out a way to take that energy and bring it into the regional tournament, improving on everything that we're doing, playing with that energy and competing the way that we did, those are some things that we would need to do to be successful and make a run.
Pearson will turn to her 2 graduate leaders, Brooke Olson and Mason Thiessen, to help the Bulldogs adjust to tournament play.
You know, kind of having those fresh eyes, not really knowing what those next few rounds feel like. And so I feel like, you know, that's what we want. Like, that's what we're striving for. And so I'm really hoping that we kind of just rise to the occasion and hopefully just win some games. I mean, we have a really, really tough region. And so any team that, comes around, it's going to be a battle.
I think we're just having a lot of fun this year. We're really trusting each other and trusting our strengths from each person and using those to make the team better. So I think that we're just coming together at the right time and using each other to motivate us to hopefully play a lot more games for the rest of the season.
UMD will tip things off with Southern Nazarene at 5 p.m. on Friday. Speaking of facing faceless opponents, the UMD men's basketball team is also set to meet with a team they have yet to play this season, that being the Central Oklahoma Broncos. The Bulldogs have been playing well as of late. They would close out the regular season on a 4-game winning streak before making a run in the NSIC tournament, including a key upset win against Northern State. Head coach Justin Wick says he's hoping his team's recent play continues when they tip things off against Central Oklahoma.
We're playing some of our best basketball down the stretch here. We really have for the last 8 or 10 games. So our game here against Bemidji, which was kind of our last regular season game, Mankato here in the opening round, and then Upper Iowa and Northern. Those were really big wins for us against really good teams. So we've started to find our identity on the defensive end. I think that's really helped propel us to more success here down the stretch.
UMD will look for their first ever win in NCAA tournament play, something senior guard Drew Blair says is doable with this team.
Last year we kind of got that taste in our mouth of what it's like to play and see the intensity really ramp up another level even from the NSIC tournament. So I definitely think that's going to help us. We returned our starting 5. We got a lot of good guys coming off the bench. We're deep. So I definitely think talent and the depth is not a problem as long as we can be playing our best basketball. I like our chances against pretty much anyone.
Tip-off is scheduled for noon on Saturday in Maryville, Missouri. And we'll be right back.
Snow moves in tonight, continues Wednesday, mainly on the Minnesota side.
Finally on Fox, this dog from Phoenix has the longest tongue on a living dog, 3.74 inches. Bet he's a real hit at the dog park. Have a good night.